start back with a few quick questions about the practitioner role. What do you do with emotions that arise in you when you touch a client, or with your own emotions that are not out of the way when you go hands-on? Or when might you use emotions constructively in your touch?
It's a good question.
It is.
More than emotion, I would use the word feeling. I don't know if I get emotional so much, but I have a lot of feeling. And I might not say anything at all, or if it comes up, I might share something. Or somebody sharing something, I'm in that feeling quality. It's in the room, the mind, it's like we're touching each other, so I'm not just touching them, they're touching me.
Well, and I certainly have no professional training or degree in psychology or psychiatry and scope of practice in mind, but I don't invite or disinvite people to share a story or a feeling or tears or laughter. I find if they emerge, they emerge. We talk about it as much as they are comfortable. I let them have their vent as much as is comfortable, and I really have just never run into a problem. I'm reminded, somebody asked Milton, what happens if somebody on your table has a reaction of tears and grief, and what do you do? He says, I just let them lie on their side and curl up and have it. Stroke them lightly or not, and just... When that's happened to me, I've never had the experience that the person having that reaction doesn't know what they're going through. And we don't need to tease it out unless they're interested. Just let them have it. Part of the content of whatever's unfolding that hour and a half.
I'm thinking one situation was many, many, many years ago, probably 1990 or something. That's many years from my lifetime. Somebody went into an experience, and I don't remember even what it was, but they went very, very deep, not so much in emotion, but in terms of leaving in a certain way. And I finally had, it was in a class, it was at the end of a program, and the other people were there, and I finally said, I can't go any further with you, you'll have to come back. You can go further on your own, or in another situation, but I cannot support you any longer, any further. You'll have to come back. And she came back and she said, I never knew I could come back. So obviously I have a feeling. It's not an emotion about something, it's just the feeling of what is happening. And in a certain way I had a similar experience with the very large octopus in Monterey, which is so tragic. He's this enormous octopus and this
tiny,
terrible thing. But somehow we had eye contact. And I finally had to say to him, I can't stay with you any longer. Your depth of knowing is too great for me. So it was a similar feeling came with this woman, that she was just going beyond where I had been. So that was, they're not about emotional, they're feeling. I mean, sometimes people, when they're explaining something, I'll find tears coming. I'm not actually I'm just feeling that depth of release. people go through their birth, they do all kinds, many things, even in a class, as well as private, but just to, I'm feeling, whatever it is, with the great joy of, yes!
Yeah.
Something happened in a recent video we were doing, and somebody brought up something for someone, and then she explained this memory, and then she talked some more, and then at the end she claimed it. Yeah!
Yeah, right.
So there's that celebration too.
Right. One of the contexts that I've found really developing much more in my class in recent years is part of our class is once we have the tactile ball rolling and they're beginning to learn whatever it is I think I've come there to show them how to do, and they've been touching each other, they've been having their private interactions with each other, we begin the morning with a circle of just a simple, it starts out, I just want a simple weather report. How are you feeling, body, mind, spirit? What are you bringing to the table this morning? And many times that opens out into shared experiences. And sometimes a profoundly group totality of sharing things they have never told anybody, or very few. And the tears and the laughter and the group support and the growth of empathy always leads to a deeper imbibing of whatever the work is I'm there to teach. And I love that part. And when somebody goes through that, I never give advice. I listen and empathize and let them tell their story to the depth of their safety and capacity to tell it. And then work with the group dynamic with that. Some people empathize instantly, some people are repelled by the story, and then we say, well, what's that about? And those are very rich mornings. Sometimes they take 2 hours before we get back to the tables.
And that's where it's all coming together.
That's right, that's right. And to just break down that expectation, we're not here to learn a protocol. We are here to learn how to feel and empathize and respond authentically and with tenderness to each other.
I think also, Aaron, it's important for the whole group to hold the space for each individual. So if I felt that I was holding the whole group, I would have to have retired before I even began. But that it's the responsibility of each of us in our own role in whatever capacity we are. I'm thinking there's obviously the role of the teacher, assistant, old students, new people, somebody going through something, other people just, but that each of us is responding to how we are touched. So again, I'm thinking of a workshop recently in which somebody began crying. He was standing and talking and crying, and sometimes someone will go over and they'll touch them or put their hand on, but I just stood. And I said, I stand with you. And another participant stood. So sometimes you go and you put your hand on someone's back, or you just go sit next to them, but then to respond authentically. There's not a right way or a wrong way. Others just listen.
The only wrong way to respond is inauthentically.
Is what?
Is inauthentically. To come in with the spiel, come in with the party line, come in with the therapeutic gambit. No, that doesn't work.
What would you share about being in personal balance so as to be in service without injecting the agenda to fix?
That's tricky, isn't it?
Actually, that one's easy for me. Because I have no confidence. I'm not likely to project. I have confidence that I'll show up. I make a commitment to show up, but I don't have a confidence that I know anything about what to do about it.
I am beginning to learn that.
So that's not an issue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I just go and I show up, and then I'm not likely to project. Except if I get excited, then I say, okay, I'm gonna, I'm coming out of my excitement, and this is my story,
Mm-hmm.
and I tell my story. But it's not your story.
Right.
And that whatever I'm doing, you don't have to memorize it because it's my story that's always changing. It's yours, the answers are with you. Your truth is in you, it's not anything I can say.
So naming your own story when it's present is part of it?
Yeah, I don't hesitate to.
Oh, how do you expect people to how do I expect them to tell me mine if I don't tell them, tell me theirs if I don't tell them mine? That's often what opens the door. And I'll say as I'm learning to do it, more and more and more, I don't class prep. I walk in and say, we're going to go through a little circle here and find out what's in the room that presents itself to work with. And there we go. I used to come in with the title of the class, we're going to look at anatomy slides of the shoulder, and then we're going to treat the shoulder, and I've really given almost all that up. We just come together and see where is the moment of emergence that first morning, and then where does that take us all. And I am utterly uninterested anymore in teaching a demonstration as a demonstration of protocol of how to do my work. It's just, what is your issue and how do we meet it? And what is your issue and how do we meet it? And so forth.
So when you're working with somebody individually, what do you do when your story shows up? Your emotions or your desire to fix or...
Well, first of all, desire to fix is an invitation to disaster.
Obviously.
Right. When things show up for me in my story or my feelings, if I suss out that it is appropriate, I tell them, I let them know. There are things one keeps to oneself, and there are things one reveals at the appropriate time.
It's a feeling.
Do you have a strategy for keeping your story out of the way?
No.
Okay. How do you know when you're working with somebody, when to trust your inner knowing and what you're touching if it's in conflict with what the client is saying?
I don't know what you mean by that.
If someone verbally is saying one thing but their body is saying something else, how do you know to trust your perception?
I just listen because it's connected. I think that I'm not that clear about, I'm not that connected to what I'm perceiving. If I feel this and I'm responding and if my hands are on somebody and my ears are listening, there's no conflict because I don't have an opinion. That's my strength.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have a lot of opinions, but I claim them for my own story. I'm not neutral. But I'm not opinionating about what somebody is doing or should be doing or it's like, there's movement going on, there's music, there's visual. They're all part of the unity. I don't see a mismatch in a way. I just am present for the story or the person.
I think that's very well said. I find it's a poison pill to call somebody on their inauthenticity. And they're being as authentic as they know how to be, obviously. And our job is to listen.
And that is authentic.
That's right. That's right.
It is authentic. And it's their strength. It's allowed them to survive something they couldn't have survived originally.
I find the role of assuming guidance is very treacherous. We are in the midst of a mutual emergence, and it's a very much a co-creation that is, the peerage fluctuates. They lead me, I lead them, we see where it goes. If it looks like it's heading for a dead end, go somewhere else. You know.
When I studied with Mrs. Bobath, we just said something very similar. She said, if you don't feel a change under your hands at every moment, do something else because you're wasting their time and your own.
Yes.
If you're doing something and you don't, it doesn't mean it has to be change all the time, but if you just shift something very slightly, you'll be in touch again. Or I don't know, it's a very interesting thing, but I see in just a few minutes, there's an awakening versus doing something to somebody in which there's no awakening.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're just doing something, you're wasting time.
Yeah.
If you're in touch, there's the word touch, that's all it requires, is to be in touch with yourself first.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I'm thinking, your questions are really good, Aaron. Sometimes I'll have my hands on somebody and I don't feel anything right away. I don't like automatic go in and I feel all this stuff. I just wait.
Mm-hmm.
And in myself I'm saying, what is it you want to show me? And I just wait to be shown what I can know, rather than I go looking for it. I wait to be shown. If somebody doesn't show me anything, then they're not wanting to show me anything. I'm available. I showed up.
And sometimes I feel that whatever showing comes glimmering through is coming from a level of subconsciousness that is not consciously or verbally accessible to them. And so to ask them is to defeat that process of emergence for them.
Such a nice word.
Isn't it? I love that.